All right, let's dive into a really fascinating concept today called spirit-empowered leadership. We're going to explore it through a metaphor that, honestly, might just change how you think about personal growth. So, picture this. Someone suddenly shouting, "Hold on, I am on the Potter wheel." It's a pretty unusual thing to yell, right? But believe it or not, that exclamation is the key to understanding everything we're talking about today. So what in the world does that have to do with leadership? Well, as it turns out, pretty much everything. This was a moment of personal revelation for Paula-Simeon, the author of our source material, when she finally started to grasp the true nature of spirit-empowered leadership. Now, before we can really get that Potter's wheel moment, we've got to tackle a bit of a problem. You see, trying to nail down one single, clear definition for spirit-empowered leadership, well, it's actually not that easy. And why is that? Well, as researcher Grigg points out, the word spirit itself can mean different things to different people. On top of that, the Pentecostal and charismatic movements, where this idea is really common, are just so diverse. It all adds up to a lot of complexity. So how do we make sense of it all? How do we cut through that confusion? Thankfully, a researcher named Jay came up with a model that brings some incredible clarity to this whole idea. Jay defines it like this. It's a three-dimensional approach that's all about emulating the life of Jesus. So it's not just one thing, it's a holistic process. And those three dimensions are where things get really interesting. Okay, so let's break this down. The three dimensions are development, influence, and emergence. A good way to think about them is as three separate but totally connected stages in a leader's journey. So let's look at the first two. Development, that's all the internal work. It's that journey inward to get healthy in your spirit, your mind, and your body. Then you have influence, which is the exact opposite. It's the external work, how we connect with and guide the people around us. So one is focused in, the other is focused out. And the final piece of the puzzle is emergence. This one takes the long view. This isn't about just one job or a single promotion. Nope, this is about the entire evolutionary story of a leader's life and career, all the changes and transitions that happen over a lifetime. But here's the pivot, and this is so important. This three-part model, it isn't just some dry academic theory you'd find in a journal. For the author of our source material, it became this incredibly powerful way of understanding her own life. And that brings us right back to this amazing quote. In this sudden flash of insight, Paula-Simeon realized that her own personal struggles, her own growth, it was a living, breathing example of this leadership model in action. She saw that all the internal changes she was going through, this feeling of being totally reshaped from the inside out, it was a perfect fit for Jay's first dimension, internal development. It was her big aha moment. Now, this whole metaphor of the potter's wheel actually comes from the book of Isaiah. It's this really powerful image of being shaped and molded and formed by a divine creator, basically surrendering to a process of transformation even when you don't fully get it at the time. And this verse, well, it brilliantly illustrates the goal of that whole process. You see, the shaping isn't just for the sake of it. The point is to become a vessel for honor, to become useful and prepared for a greater purpose. So here's the crucial point. The author's personal story makes that academic framework feel real, That feeling of being on the potter's wheel. That's the lived experience of the first stage of leadership development. So what's the big takeaway from all this? First, that true leadership development really starts on the inside, with this deep, transformative process of being shaped. Second, this personal journey is what prepares you for your unique purpose. And finally, and this is huge, it's a journey that never, ever really ends. And all of this leaves us with a final, forward-looking question from the source material. Knowing all this, how can leaders be encouraged to actually embrace this kind of journey, one that's often really challenging, but is ultimately transformative and prepares them for their work? It's a powerful thought to end on.